I want you to listen to me very carefully today, because what I'm about to tell you is not just another sermon. It's a divine announcement for your life. You've cried long enough. You've fought long enough. You've waited, prayed, and endured seasons where nothing seemed to move. But hear this, your season of struggle is coming to an end. God has seen your struggle and is about to intervene. Those words carry a deep and powerful truth that every weary heart needs to hear. You may feel forgotten, overlooked, or stuck in a situation that refuses to change. But let me remind you, God never takes his eyes off his children. Every tear that has fallen from your eyes, every sleepless night, every whispered prayer that seemed to echo into silence has been seen and heard by the Almighty. The God who formed the stars and set the planets in motion is fully aware of your pain, and he is not distant or indifferent. He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating details you cannot yet see, preparing a breakthrough that will leave no doubt that his hand has been upon you the whole time. So often, when we face long seasons of hardship, we begin to wonder if God has forgotten us. We see others moving forward while we seem to be stuck in place, and we ask, Lord, where are you? But what you must understand is that silence does not mean absence. God's delay is not God's denial. He allows certain seasons of struggle not to punish you, but to position you. Every challenge you've faced, every disappointment you've endured has been shaping your heart, refining your character, and building the strength you will need to carry the blessing that is coming. Think of Joseph in the Bible. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. For years it seemed as if his life was moving backward, not forward. Yet all along, God was watching. God was preparing him for a destiny far greater than he could imagine. When the time was right, God stepped in, and in a single moment, Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister. That's how quickly God can turn things around. One divine moment can make sense of years of struggle. Maybe your life feels like that right now. Confusing, painful, uncertain. You've been faithful. You've prayed and nothing seems to happen. But I want to encourage you today, God is closer than you think. The delay has a divine purpose. He is aligning people, timing, and opportunity so that when your breakthrough arrives, it will be undeniable that it came from him. When God steps in, he does it in a way that no one can take the credit. He doesn't just change the situation. He changes you through it. So hold on. You are not forgotten. God's eyes are upon you. He has seen your faithfulness in the quiet places where no one else was watching. He has seen you remain kind when others were cruel, faithful when it was easier to quit, and prayerful when you felt like giving up. And because of that, his intervention is on the way. The same God who parted the sea and raised the dead is still working today. And soon, he will show his power in your life in a way that will silence every doubt and remind you that he was with you all along. Your midnight season is turning into morning. That simple statement carries hope for every person walking through darkness. Midnight represents the moment when everything seems still, silent, and uncertain. The hour when your strength feels gone and your faith is being tested. It's the time when your prayers seem unanswered, when the road ahead feels invisible, and when you wonder if light will ever return. But just as sure as night follows day, morning always comes. The God who created time itself has already set an appointed hour for your breakthrough, and even now, the first light of your new day is beginning to rise. In the Bible, Paul and Silas knew what it meant to face a midnight season. They were beaten, humiliated, and thrown into a dark prison for preaching the gospel. Their feet were chained and their freedom was gone. Yet at midnight, instead of complaining, they began to sing praises to God. They chose faith over fear, worship over worry, and their praise invited the presence of God into that prison cell. The Bible says that suddenly there was a great earthquake. The foundations of the prison shook, the doors flew open, and every chain was broken. Midnight turned into morning in an instant because they refused to let the darkness silence their worship. That's how God works. He often does his greatest miracles in the darkest hours of our lives. The midnight season is not meant to destroy you, but to display his power. It's the moment when your faith is purified and your trust is made real. When everything is stripped away, comfort, control, and understanding, you learn that God is still enough. You learn that his light shines brightest in your darkest places. If you're walking through your own midnight season right now, if your heart is heavy, if doors seem closed, if you can't see a way out, remember that God is still at work. Even when you cannot see him, he is moving. Even when you cannot hear him, he is speaking. Your midnight is not the end, it's the beginning of your miracle. God is about to shake the very ground beneath your feet. The chains that held you back, fear, doubt, debt, sickness, disappointment, are about to break. What looked like a dead end is about to become your divine turning point. Every sunrise begins in the dark. The fact that it feels hard right now doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're close to your breakthrough. The darker the night, the brighter the morning. God's promise still stands. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So don't give up in the middle of the night. Keep praising, keep believing, keep trusting. Your morning is on the way. The same God who turned Paul and Silas's prison into a place of praise is turning your pain into purpose. The doors will open, the light will break through, and you will see that the midnight was only the setup for the miracle God had prepared for you all along. God's power is not limited by circumstances. Those words remind us that no matter how impossible life may appear, God's strength and authority go beyond human limitation. He is not restricted by time, nature, or the opinions of people. What man calls impossible, God calls finished. We often look at our situations through the lens of what we can see, feel, or understand, forgetting that the one who spoke the universe into existence is still in control. Circumstances may change, but his power remains constant. When the doctor says there's no cure, when the financial situation looks hopeless, when relationships fall apart, and the future seems uncertain, God is still able. His power doesn't weaken under pressure. It shines brightest when all human solutions fail. In the Bible, we see countless examples of God moving beyond the limits of human reason. When Moses stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army behind him, there was no escape. The people panicked. But Moses lifted his staff in obedience to God, and the waters parted. What was an impossible situation became a pathway of deliverance. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, the outcome should have been certain death, but God shut the mouths of the lions. Their hunger was no match for his command. When the 3 Hebrew boys were thrown into the fiery furnace, the fire didn't burn them. Instead, a 4th man, God's presence, walked with them in the flames. And when Jesus stood at the tomb of Lazarus, who had been dead for 4 days, he called him by name, and Lazarus walked out alive. Each of these moments shows that circumstances are never stronger than the one who holds power over them. So often, we let what we see dictate what we believe. We measure God's ability by the size of our problem instead of by the size of his power. But faith calls us to look beyond what's visible. Faith says, Even if I don't see a way, I know my God can make one. The storm may be raging, but God still speaks, "Peace, be still." The mountain may seem immovable, but he says, "If you have faith, it shall be moved." The situation may seem dead, but he says, "I am the resurrection and the life." Nothing is too hard for him. When you reach the end of your strength, that's where God begins. When you can't fix it, heal it, or understand it, that's when he steps in and shows that his power doesn't depend on your ability. It depends on his sovereignty. God loves to reveal his greatness in the middle of what looks hopeless, because that's when his glory is undeniable. He doesn't just change the situation, he transforms hearts through it. So don't let fear convince you that it's over. Don't let circumstances silence your faith. The same God who made a way before will do it again. He is not bound by your situation. He reigns above it. You're moving from testing to testimony. Those words are more than encouragement. They are a divine declaration of transformation. Every trial, every disappointment, every delay you've faced has not been wasted. God has been using it all to prepare you for what he has already planned. The struggle you're enduring is not a sign of God's absence, but evidence of his work within you. Testing seasons are often uncomfortable because they stretch your faith, challenge your patience, and expose what you truly believe. But when you stay faithful through the testing, you become the living proof of God's power, a walking testimony of his grace. In the Bible, every person God used greatly first endured a season of testing. Before David ever sat on the throne, he spent years running from Saul, hiding in caves, and learning to trust God in the wilderness. Before Joseph became a ruler in Egypt, he endured betrayal, slavery, and false accusation. Before Moses led Israel out of bondage, he spent 40 years in the desert learning humility and dependence on God. And before Jesus began his ministry, he was led into the wilderness to be tested by the enemy. In every case, the testing was not punishment, it was preparation. God was shaping their hearts, strengthening their faith, and teaching them obedience. Without the test, there would be no testimony. Without the pain, there would be no power. It's the same for you. You may be wondering why certain prayers are taking so long to be answered, why doors keep closing, or why you've had to walk through seasons of loss. But God never wastes pain. He is molding your character to carry the blessing that's coming. If he gave it to you too soon, you might not have the strength to sustain it. The test refines you. It burns away fear, pride, and doubt so that your faith becomes unshakable. When you come out on the other side, you won't just tell people what God can do. You'll be living proof that he does it. Every storm you faced has a purpose. The tears you've cried are watering the seeds of your next harvest. The disappointments that broke your heart are making room for divine appointments that will exceed your expectations. God is turning what was meant for harm into something good. And when the time is right, he will lift you up in a way that will make others say, "Only God could have done that." You're not stuck in the test, you're passing through it. Every step, every challenge, every unanswered question is moving you closer to your testimony. Soon, what once caused you pain will become the story that gives others hope. You'll look back and realize that the fire didn't destroy you, it purified you. The waiting didn't break you, it built you. The test didn't end you, it revealed who God truly is. You are moving from testing to testimony, and your victory will be the evidence of God's faithfulness. My friend, your season of struggle is ending. Your breakthrough is coming. And when it does, the world will know it was God who did it.